The purpose of this video is to show you an example of how you can write your executive summary. So if you look at the example here, the font is very small right now because I just want to show you the big picture first, but notice it's a very short document. Of course, mine's shorter because I don't have um, any specific data or any descriptions that I'm including, only placeholders for you to complete. But executive summaries are usually 2 pages. If the complete evaluation report is short, for longer reports, then maybe you could have up to even 7 pages or something like that. But for this, right here for this class, just a 2 pager should be okay, not to force you to just do it in 2 pages, but kind of like to give you an idea. So the first part that we have here is the evaluation purpose, and you just very briefly explain the purpose of this evaluation was to, and mostly you guys had one or two purposes: to judge the worth of the instructional product or experience, or to identify areas of improvement. So you say that, and then you mention the name of the instructional product or experience, and then you briefly describe that product or experience. So what did it aim to teach and to who? And include a little something about what was the medium in which it was offered. Was it a face-to-face or was it an online thing? And what was the duration? A one-day thing, or was it meant to be uh, listened to through 2 hours, whatever it is? And then you talk about the evaluation questions. You just list them here. There's no need for further explanations. If people want to read more, they can go into the actual evaluation report. And then you very briefly describe your evaluation design. So how many participants you had in the evaluation, and divide them by types. In level 1 and level 2, you gather data from the learners, but maybe in level 3, you also sent a survey to the supervisors or coworkers or whatever. So you include those numbers there, or the placeholders. Then you indicate how you collected the data for each of the levels. And this would be simply, it was collected from who, using what instrument, and when, and so on and so forth for each of the levels. Just maybe a one sentence, if you can, describing each. The analysis, then, as well, you describe it as briefly as possible. So how you analyzed quantitative data, or maybe reaction scores versus test scores versus open-ended questions. Just briefly, 1 or 2 sentences describing each type of data that you collected. The most important piece in an executive summary is actually the findings section and the recommendations. And again, you describe this briefly. So you provide your heading for the level 1 evaluation findings. So for example, learner reaction to the training. And you indicate, in general, did they react positively to what areas, or negatively to what areas? No need to explain what you'll recommend, because you'll talk about that later on. And then you put your heading for the level 2 evaluation findings. So for example, learning achievement, or whatever it is that you want to call it. And then you indicate what was the gain in knowledge, skills, or attitudes, depending on what you were teaching. So, was it a percentage of increase? Was it a difference between the control and treatment group? Or, was it a difference between the pre and post test? You explain that in very general terms. Again, this is not a place for details. They will have the rest of the report if they want to have more details. Level 3, the same deal, depending on whether you actually did a performance test or you collected data via surveys. You will describe how was the performance on the job, and when you collected that level 3 data. If you did reports, then whether you collected data from both the learner and also their employers, or the supervisors, employees, or coworkers, whatever, and then whether the reports indicated that they actually applied the skills or not, or they didn't agree. The learner said, "Oh yes, I agreed on everything. I applied everything," and then the supervisor said, "Not so much." Whatever it is, you describe it here again briefly. And for your level 4, you put your headings there. Increase in sales, sales or decrease in attrition rate or whatever it is, and you indicate what was the difference in the numbers that you found from before and after, if you collected data before and after, or after, and when you collected data, 6 months, a year, whatever. So finally, the last section is the recommendations and conclusions. And here you basically go back to your purpose. What was the purpose? To determine the worth, to identify areas for improvement. So you say, well, based on what we found in this evaluation, we say that, yeah, we should continue to provide the training because we want to continue to achieve the desired results, or the training should be discontinued because it is not contributing to achieve the desired results and it's costly and whatever's not worth it, or the training should be improved in the following areas. Or the training should be modified this way, and then you list the different ways in which it should be modified or the areas in which should be improved. So very briefly, again, very high level recommendations are listed here because the details will be actually provided in the report. So I hope this video is helpful for you to understand how to write that executive summary.